Welcome to Words About Things, Episode 1. I am Taylor,
I'm Justin.
Justin,
Yeah.
and we are
Is
calling
this?
this Episode 1, but
I was gonna say, is really episode?
3.
Yeah. Technically.
So, Episode 1, we had a very specific topic, and it was somewhat scripted, and it really didn't work out. Didn't feel
Yeah.
good, didn't like it.
Yeah.
Episode 2 was more freeform, like we're doing now. And for one, I had a terrible cough through the whole thing. At one point,
And I had.
my mute keystroke changed my audio, and then it captured something out of my monitor and sounded terrible, so that was scrapped. So here we are, episode 1 again.
1.0.3.
Yeah, but we're learning. We're learning.
Yeah.
Things are moving along. It's great. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. So the like you said the first time or the second time, the tens of fans.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Our
will.
viewer will be happy.
Yeah. Exactly.
So to kick us off here, my daughter this morning, or actually yesterday, says, "Hey, Dad, why does Mario wear gloves?" Have you ever thought about that?
No.
You know,
I
I've been
can't.
playing Mario games for what, 35, 7 years.
Uh. Okay. I want to hear your explanation because I know there is some reasoning behind why he is dressed the way he is, but you go ahead.
I have no idea.
Okay. You hazard any guess? I don't know about the gloves specifically, but
She said, "Is it because he's a plumber?" And I went, "Yeah, that's
there you go.
probably."
Wise beyond her years.
But white gloves? You ever seen a plumber wear white gloves?
Probably not a good idea.
No.
Well, I think part of it too is like I took it for just to be whatever it was because like cartoon characters have gloves like Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse
Mickey,
and like a lot of them have gloves, and then there's the whole like no one wants to draw realistic hands is part of it. But I think Mario, if I remember correctly, and this might fall under urban legends, which is a whole segment I'd like to do sometime, like
oh boy.
just like going back on the dumb things that I thought were true. I had a couple of them last time, like the Bruce Willis told his AI likeness wasn't actually true. But
Yeah.
anyway, so I believe the reasoning that he wears like suspenders and overalls was the pixel version of him. You couldn't tell like his upper torso from his lower torso, so that's why he has like suspenders, I guess.
So it's a technical reason more than a
Yeah,
stylistic
like
choice.
yeah, like the pixels like didn't really showcase him properly, so they had to color things differently so you knew what his hand was and what his feet were, and yeah. Anyway, maybe
I
I'm
gotta be
wrong.
honest, that kind of ruins it for me.
Does it?
I was hoping there was some like backstory, Mario origin story. And
No, and you can like get down on your hands and knees and talk to your daughter and say and give her that explanation that will
Yeah.
bore the shit out of her before you even finish
yeah.
telling the story.
She'd be checked out of that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I got to pixels, that'd be gone.
So you just went with he's a plumber. That was good enough.
Well, she came up with the plumber thing.
Oh.
I was
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
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 Smart. Yeah. No, I've never once stopped to think about that.
No.
Yeah. Sonic has them too.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Every video game character, like from early on, I guess.
I think that's another interesting point about that I think anyway is that kids are so good at they're not they're still questioning the world,
Right.
whereas I just accept it.
Right. Yeah. It's old hat. Like you take
Right.
it for granted. They have fresh eyes and they're like,
Yeah.
Why is this that way?
What's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah,
Anyway, that's a deeper conversation.
yeah.
Why don't you kick us off with something off the board?
Uh, well, so I guess telling stories. We successfully pulled off my wife's surprise 40th
Ooh,
birthday.
shh.
Bleep that out. The
Yeah, I'll bleep it out later.
we don't know what year it was.
Yeah.
Her surprise blankety birthday.
Her surprise birthday party. The
Yeah,
end.
she had a surprise birthday party. I don't have to be that specific. But so we were talking about like how hard it was to pull off in the age of technology because so we share like a calendar, so I couldn't like hold it on my calendar with any specific information. I couldn't send invites to people with my calendar because it all linked together. We use like Life 360, so we can always just keep tabs on ourselves and the kids, and in case something ever were to happen, we know where we are. So she knew where I like had the ability to basically track me the entire day. When I told her I'd be at one place and I'm over at a different place,
Yeah.
which was weird. And but the one that also got me, like, we had to go buy birthday candles for her, and her CVS account is linked to her email, and I almost said email a receipt, which would have instantly given her a notification that I was buying birthday candles at CVS. Like, it was just,
Well,
it's
and then
amazing.
when we were leaving to go to the party,
Right.
we were supposed to be at a photo shoot. That was our
Right.
cover story.
Right.
And we were leaving, and I said, should we carry out some bags? Because the Ring doorbell camera would capture you. So to
Right.
sell it, you'd have to, we're taking some photography stuff.
Yeah, there was a point where I thought one of her friends was going to have to come to our house before the party because I wasn't sure what time he was getting in town. And I legitimately thought I'm going to have to like turn off the internet at my house so that the cameras stop broadcasting,
Right.
which is suspicious in and of itself.
Yeah.
But like just so she won't see her friends arrive at the house. So but the whole point was like trying to get away with anything in today's age of like willing surveillance. Like I have these things because I want to keep tabs on stuff at my house, but like you can't get away with anything, which
Right.
I don't know. It's interesting as a parent too because I got away with all kinds of stuff as a
Right.
kid.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, I firmly believe my kids won't be able to do that to me, but if I'm being honest, I know that they'll just find a way to subvert the system the same way
yeah.
I did.
Right.
So, I don't know. It's interesting, but yeah, you can't get away with anything.
I remember rolling the car out of the driveway, so I wonder what the 2030 version of rolling the car out of the driveway will be.
I remember I would try. Katie will tell you this story. I would try and drive home and beat my mom home to get the physical mail that had my report card in it, so I could like steal it before she saw it. Where now, like, I get a push notification to my phone
Right.
whenever my son gets a
Yeah.
grade. Like,
There's there's an app for our kids.
Right.
You just go to the app.
right, yeah,
See what they
exactly.
did, that day.
Yeah, it's nuts. So yeah, I'm very curious to see what our kids will be able to get away with. But man, like if you sent me like 40 years back in time, like I'd be able to get away with like I'm pretty sure I could steal the Mona Lisa from the Louvre if I needed to. Like
Yeah.
it would be so easy. Like
Absolutely.
I don't have any of the technology. Anyway, that was the surprise birthday story. So
Yeah, I wonder if there are less surprise birthday parties now because of that.
that's a good question. I mean, you really have to work overtime to kind of pull it off. It can.
Because
It's easier to be tipped off.
They're easier to plan. You know what I mean? Because you just email everybody.
That's true. Like
You don't
I
have to
didn't.
call and
Yeah. I was able to get some emails. I didn't even have to get emails. Like I found my wife's friends on Facebook, and I messaged them on Facebook. I didn't have their like
Right.
their contact info. I didn't have their phone number or their email. I just, messaged them there and asked for that stuff so that I could plan everything. But yeah, you can. It's sneaky in sneakier in some ways, but I don't know. There's more that you have to think about, I
Easier to
guess.
plan, harder to pull off.
Yeah, there you go.
Boom.
Yeah, yeah. All right. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I'll give you the two things we disagree on. Do you want to talk
Okay.
about CrossFit or Die Hard?
I mean, you pick. Which one you want to talk about first?
Let's go Die Hard.
Die Hard. That's an easy one. Bruce Willis himself said it's not a Christmas movie.
Okay, here's the
Boom.
thing though. Hold on.
John McClane.
Define Christmas movie.
Okay, I knew. Listen, I knew you were going to start with that because it's like the dumbest and most easiest way to start the argument. Like, can we all just stop pretending? Just like, okay, I get it. Like at some point in the 2000s, like when we all went to college, like someone started the meme, right? About how, hey, it takes place during Christmas and yada yada. So, hey, Die Hard's kind of a Christmas movie. And we all laughed and we all thought it was funny and it was interesting meme culture. But come on. Like, let's just be honest. Like I get wanting to have fun with it. It's funny. It's a cool, fun joke. Haha. But it's not a Christmas movie.
Here's the deal.
Okay.
I don't think it's a Christmas movie. I think the requirements of a Christmas movie are that the movie specifically revolves around Christmas and the traditions of Christmas. So Christmas Vacation,
Right.
A Christmas Story.
Right.
Those are Christmas movies.
Agreed.
Then there's the other ones that occur around Christmas, aren't really about Christmas, but it becomes like nostalgia to watch it during Christmas time.
And that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I like watching Gremlins too. Like
Gremlins.
not
yeah.
but not a movie that like I'm
Go.
gonna
You ever
wait,
watch
what?
Go?
Go?
Go.
No.
Oh, great movie.
Okay.
Do that.
Okay. Go.
American Psycho.
I didn't remember that took place during Christmas. Batman Returns then?
Batman Returns. Yes.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, none of those are Christmas movies. Like we agree. Like
Yeah,
they don't
yeah.
There's a difference between like using Christmas as a setting or it just I mean, the Harry Potter movies take place over Halloween and Christmas and like a whole season of the school year. Like that's not a Christmas movie either. I don't like the way you're going. You're kind of giving me this round
Nod.
circular like it's not a nod yes, it's not a nod no.
Well, again, it's the how you define Christmas movie thing.
Okay. I hate this definition, but you're familiar with I forget what senator it was that said it about what defines pornography, like you know it when you see it. Like what defines a Christmas movie? Like you know it when you see it. Like does it fill you with Christmas joy? Does it
Right.
encapsulate a lot of like the Christmas themes? Is it a family movie? Like
But I think
Die Hard's an
that's
action movie.
There's layers to this thing. So,
Sure. Okay.
So Christmas Vacation, A Christmas Story, those are your A tier Christmas movies.
Yeah. I mean, well, those are some of my personal favorites, yes, but yeah.
And then there's like movies like Home Alone. That's
Yeah.
not really a Christmas movie. It takes place during Christmas, but the main focus of the thing is Kevin's shenanigans.
It has more. I mean, listen, if you wanted to define it as not a Christmas movie, it wouldn't bother me. But it has more Christmas themes, like relating to family and the spirit of the season and forgiveness. Like,
Oh, you mean the family is gone the entire movie?
well, listen, worst family ever. I've watched that movie so many times, and I'm just like, that's a great a future subject, is like movies you look back on that are like horrible. But yeah, like
That's
his
another
family
one.
were absolutely terrible to him
Oh yeah.
the entire time, and then they what kind of parent forgets a kid twice and then
Right.
doesn't have like CPS call them, I mean, anyway,
That's another one
it's
though that it would not work today.
like you couldn't do it today.
Right.
Oh yeah,
You just
because
call
yeah,
the kid
like
on the
phone
cell
call,
phone and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?"
right? Yeah. Actually, didn't they do like a commercial about that, like a Google Home commercial, like, or an Amazon Alexa
I'm
commercial?
sure.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, Kevin's at home, like I see him on the Nest camera inside the house. He'll be fine until we get there, you know.
Yeah. Makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you couldn't do that today, but no. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. Bruce Willis,
I was
John
just about to
McClane
say, so we
himself.
agree it's a Christmas movie.
It's not.
Okay.
But that's fine. Like, but listen, if you want to put, you know, John McClane or Hans Gruber at the top of your Christmas tree, and
I don't.
you know,
I
okay.
don't. It's not about that. Quit trying to
Okay.
put things on my tree, okay?
Okay.
I'm saying it's a movie that I look forward to watching during Christmas.
That's fine. That's great.
Because, I mean, I got to break up the Grinch. Uh,
Very important to have a palate cleanser.
although,
And maybe that's
have you seen 8-Bit Christmas?
no, you were telling me about this. I
Oh, you
haven't
got to
seen
watch
it
that
yet.
one. You got to watch
Okay.
it.
No, my go-tos, I mean, obviously Christmas Vacation, Christmas Story, Jingle All the Way is one of my favorites. Another Terrible Dad. Like, it's such a weird movie for Arnold Schwarzenegger to be in.
I've been into
But,
the Christmas Chronicles.
yeah, those are good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the second one was a little weird, but
They're both kind of way out there, but I like that they went a different direction with the second one.
yeah. I've enjoyed those. And what are some? The Grinch is a great one. I mean, the Jim Carrey Grinch is one of my favorites. You don't like that one?
No.
I just like him as that character. I don't know.
You know, I can't watch his movies without seeing him. The movie becomes more about Jim Carrey than it does about the character he's playing.
Uh,
I mean,
I
I feel like it's him doing the mask character in another movie.
I don't know. I kind of disagree, but I see what you're saying though. I can see what you're getting at, but even the newer animated one, I think it was DreamWorks with Benedict Cumberbatch as the Grinch voice. It was good. I mean, man, I'm trying to think of what are the other ones that we really enjoy. I don't know.
It's weird. I have my leading up to Christmas movies,
Okay.
and then I have my like Christmas Eve and Christmas movies, and that's
What?
Christmas Vacation and A Christmas Story are reserved for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. I don't watch them any other
good.
time.
Christmas Vacation is pretty regularly our decorate the house movie. So it gets played earlier, but before we watch any of those, we watch Dutch
Dutch.
with Ed O'Neill,
Yeah.
which is a great. It's more Thanksgiving, but it's a great movie.
Yeah.
I love that movie. Yeah, yeah. Christmas Story. I mean, you can watch it on repeat on was it TBS or TNT does the marathon all
Yep.
day long.
All day.
Yeah. Yep. The Star Wars Life Day special. If you really hate yourself and want to watch that. But yeah,
Yes.
Die Hard. You can watch it on Christmas. That's fine.
I feel like we agreed there.
Okay, great, wonderful.
I conceded it wasn't a Christmas movie. You know, as your
Okay.
standard Christmas movie.
Thank you. That's all I'm saying. Like, all I'm asking for is just listen. It's funny to say. I get it. Ha ha. It's funny
not
because
to
it's.
say. I'm not in the like memeing on it group.
But most people are. Like that's the whole thing. Is like, don't forget to leave a Beretta and
No.
a thing of cookies like in the attic for John McClane on Christmas Eve, so he can find them in the ductwork.
Okay,
Like
I think we
that-
can agree that I hate those people.
Okay, great. Because that's
Okay.
those are the people I'm rallying against. It's like
Moving on.
Okay.
Let's end it there. What do you want?
I want you to tell me this. Was it Clear Channel Broadcasting? Because you told me you kind of mentioned this in passing,
Yeah.
and then I was flabbergasted by the story. So
This is something I kind of just like stumbled on in my internet journey the other day.
Mm-hmm.
So the Clear Channel memorandum is what we're talking about.
Okay.
Clear Channel, which is now iHeartMedia, owns most, or it's either most or the most radio stations in America.
Right.
So after 9/11, they put out a list of songs that were deemed questionable.
Right.
Now, what does that mean?
It's so good to read the list, though.
The list is incredibly long. Incredibly
It is.
long.
It is.
I think there's like 170. I'm not. Oh, 165. Yeah. Songs are on this list.
Yeah.
And some of them make no sense at all. Like, for example,
Right.
Louis Armstrong's What a Wonderful World.
Oh, that's on there?
Yeah.
What an uplifting song.
Yeah. And then, like,
I mean,
AC/DC. Let's just go just AC/DC songs.
right. I saw
Okay.
that list.
Highway to Hell.
Right. Can't talk about that.
Hell's Bells.
Yeah. Can't talk about hell.
Shoot to Thrill.
Shooting. Nuh-uh.
The one I could maybe see, Safe in New York City. But
I thought you were going to say Dirty Deeds, but...
even that, Done Dirt Cheap, what is that?
Yeah.
Either way, if you hear that and you associate, I don't even understand. Is this were they worried about like triggering people, like their emotions? It's just so.
I have to believe that that's what it was. Like, I don't know, obviously. But, like, I mean, the funny thing was just, like, Rage Against the Machine. It's just their entire discography was delisted. Like, and it's like, just because Rage is in the name? Like, why?
No idea.
It's angsty music. I just wonder. I just would love to have been like in that boardroom meeting, or the person that was like given the task of.
That's
come
what
up
I
with this
wonder.
list.
I think there was a board meeting and they decided, you know, they're in this board and they're like, hey, we should maybe keep an eye on what we're playing,
Yeah.
with these attacks. And
Yeah.
everybody kind of went, yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
And then they went out to the intern and they're like, hey, make a list of songs that have questionable lyrics concerning the attacks. And he went, yep, get right on that, boss.
Yeah.
And then he went back and talked to the other interns and was like, what the fuck? What does that mean? What songs? I don't know what to do. And they were like,
Right.
just write some songs down.
Right.
I gotta think that's how it went.
I don't know. I feel like a whole documentary should be made on that because it's so bonkers. Like, I mean, it's easy to say now. Like, I mean, I remember.
Well, let me just pick a random one. Here, scrolling.
Okay.
Ozzy Osbourne, Suicide Solution. Okay, that's
You picked a bad one.
oh, great. It's a bad one. How?
It's got the word suicide in it. Like anything referencing death, I guess.
That song came out way, way before 9/11.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was okay then, but then once we get attacked, then we're gonna start doing this stuff. I just don't understand what problem they were trying to solve with this. I guess that's what it comes down to.
I don't know. Everything was hyper reactive, knee jerk that day, right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember like being in high school, and the first thing I did after high school was I drove to the gas station because I was convinced that like there's going to be no gas available. And it's like, well, why wouldn't there be any gas? Like, we're sitting on. I mean, it's not as if this did any. It's like the toilet paper thing during COVID. It's like, why did toilet paper go away? Like, was everyone afraid of like shitting themselves to death or something? I don't know, but yeah, I think it was just one of those like we've got to be hyper aware of everyone's feelings right now, which I get it. That was a emotional time for sure. But yeah, like the rhyme and reason for like what songs made the list, like I could see maybe like NWA, The Police, maybe not a good one to play at that point, but
Okay, let me find a specific one here. Okay, Queen, Killer Queen.
okay, yeah, like killer. It's got, I wonder if, the concept of metadata on songs definitely existed then, right? I mean, I would assume so, because like
I would assume the radio station had its own kind of
categories for everything,
catalog.
Right? Yeah, I wonder if it wasn't even so much like ban these songs, but just like, hey, we're not going to play songs that fit these topics. Like anything that mentions death or murder, or I'm sure that they've got some sort of rating system that tags songs of similar fashion, just for making sure they're playing things that are different all the time. But I wonder if maybe it was less specific and more generally driven. I don't know.
It's one of those things I just can't understand. And the more I go through the list and look at the songs, I'm just like I try to think about the lyrics and I'm like, what was it about this song?
Yeah, I don't think you have to look into it too far. I think it's like literally killer queen. It's just like killer. The word killer. Like a bunch of people died. Died. We're not gonna say killer.
Yeah. Oh, Disco Inferno.
Burning?
I mean, that's the thing. Some of these are a big stretch.
Yeah, but like it only takes one person to like call into the radio station and be like, we just watched two buildings be set ablaze and set all of our firefighters, ablaze, like, and you guys are playing Burn Baby Burn Disco Inferno, like, I get it. I mean, I get the reaction. Like, I am slightly empathetic to the reaction. I don't think I mean, I think the other side of that coin is like,
I
what?
think that's
We're gonna
people.
play whatever song we want.
Yeah, I think that's people taking the words and making something else out of them. Like
Sure.
and I'm sure that happens every day at a radio station anyway.
Yeah, it happens all
You
the
got
time.
crazy people calling in there all the time.
Well, I
But
mean, yeah, there's all kinds of, you know, church groups that would tell you that if you listen to a song backwards, it's,
yeah,
the devil's talking to you,
right.
right? Like, I mean, people find whatever, they plug in their own meaning wherever they want all the time. So, but
Absolutely.
yeah, I just would have taken one person like to complain about it, and then someone else jumps on board, and then you've got a knee-jerk reaction mob that just, and we've seen how that stuff goes sometimes. So
Yeah, but man, if that's the case, then I mean, you I think you got to fight against that. You can't give into it. You know what I mean? We can't
sure,
censor everything every time something happens.
sure, I don't disagree with that in the hindsight of, a decade later, but um at the time being, like, I I'm sure everybody was just like, we're not going to mess around with this at all. Like, we're erring on the super side of caution. We don't want to offend anybody. We don't want anyone upset at us. Like, we're gonna just do this for the next couple of days. And you can argue like that's sometimes the point of why people do the shitty and terrible things that they do, is to
Yeah,
change your human nature, what your normal actions would be. But
yeah,
I don't know. But it's wild just to see the list, because it's like, yeah, like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
some
There
of the
were
songs
definitely
are
ones on there that I thought like John Mellencamp, John Mellencamp crumbling down. When the walls came crumbling. I'm like, okay, but what a wonderful world. Like, maybe that's the one we need.
yeah, that's the one we want to listen to.
Or
Yeah,
in, I'd really like to. I would like to sit down with the person who wrote that list,
I would
and
love
I'm
to.
like,
Yeah,
did you put that "What a Wonderful World" song on there as a joke? Is that what you did?
I don't
You
think
can be
anyone
real
was.
with me. It's been
I
a
don't think
long
anyone
time.
was joking at that point. I think it was all very serious.
Oh yeah.
Back. So no.
Well, I would say in a similar vein of what's serious and uh, what's allowed and what's not. This World of Warcraft story that I've been obsessed with
Oh yeah.
for a long time.
Yeah.
I really enjoy things that happen in games
Yeah.
that are kind of breaking the fourth wall, meta events.
Sure.
And World of Warcraft is full of them.
Yeah.
You got Leroy Jenkins, you got the whole plague spreading thing that was studied by scientists as to how plague spread. And
Yeah.
but the one we're talking about today is the funeral raid. You're familiar with this? I'm sure.
Yeah, after I didn't know the name of it, but when you explained the concept, I definitely remember this being a thing, like,
Yeah.
on YouTube.
So what happened is a guild had a member die of a stroke suddenly. Terrible.
Yeah.
They played on a PvP server, which means players can attack players, and it's Horde versus
Anywhere.
Alliance.
Yeah, yeah.
They're going to hold a funeral for this person who passed away. Her favorite place was in a contested zone. She liked to fish there in the snowy mountains.
Uh-huh.
Contested zone is both Horde and Alliance can be there at the same time.
Right.
So they post on the forum, hey, we're going to have this funeral here at this time on this date. And even said something like, nobody come mess it up. Now,
that last sentence is the nail in the coffin.
It almost seems like an invite, right?
Right.
Like, it almost seems like a trap.
Don't do this thing.
Yeah. Hey, nobody come here.
Yeah.
So, the funeral people all wear transmog gear to this funeral. And at the time, which is, I played briefly, this is before my time. Back in the day, you didn't have transmog gear. If you wanted to wear like a dress, you had to put the dress on.
Yeah.
So none of these people have any armor or gear. They're all dressed in.
Right.
They're basically wearing nothing.
Right. Yeah, they don't have any of their stats.
Then they have the girl who died. They have her dad log on to her character, bring her character to this spot, and everybody gets in line and walks up and emotes or whatever, and then next person in line comes along.
I didn't realize that part of the story. Okay.
I didn't either. I looked into this so I could confidently talk about it. And that was kind of shocking to me too.
Uh-huh.
So, Serenity Now, one of the biggest PvP groups I guess there was, again, before my time, and I don't know anything about them, raid this funeral and kill everybody. Everybody.
Yeah.
The video is on YouTube if you'd like to check it out. It's interesting. It's got the perfect music to it.
Yeah.
But the question I always ask myself, is that okay?
I mean, would I do it? I don't know. I would think maybe not. But I could also, like, if people in my guild just started talking about, like, hey, this is happening over here and it's hilarious, like, part of me would be so fascinated, I think, to see what's going on. I'd definitely go out there, and see what was going on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd at least spectate.
Right.
But it's a game, like, you can't. I think it's a touching gesture to have done that, but man, could you have planned that maybe somewhat smarter? Like, kept it to yourself, like,
right.
Not done a contested zone. I understand that was her favorite place in the game, but, like, you gotta assume or get like a bunch of other guilds, like, to play bodyguard or something. I don't know, but I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it necessarily. It's a game. You're playing against a lot of children, a lot of teenagers,
right,
who say horrible things, like,
right,
say and do horrible things under the guise of anonymity. Like, do I wish that the world were a better place? Yes, but given anonymity, people will do, like, some of the worst shit, and I don't know what they were thinking.
But is it even bad? That's kind of the thing I come back to.
No, I mean, it's just a game.
It's just
like,
a game.
Yeah,
However,
it's a video game. Yeah.
However, these people, like, that's how they know each other.
Mm-hmm.
That is their experience.
Mm-hmm.
Of each other. You know what I mean? That's all they know of each other. So they can't go to a real funeral.
But why not?
To them, World of Warcraft is real. It's
Yeah,
where they
but
hang out with people. It's where they socialize. Like, I never got into that, but people do.
But I have met I played WoW for a long time in college and throughout for a long time. And I have met like my friends, some of my best friends in real life I met
Yeah.
playing the game and then just happened to agree to meet up. And God forbid if anything were to ever happen to them, like I would go to their actual service.
Yeah.
Like so I don't know. I mean, I think that's one of those. I'd say it's okay because it's a game, and the gesture of doing it in game is worth about as much as, I mean, it's virtual. Like they didn't sacrifice anything to actually like go and pay their respects. They did it from the comfort of their own home. So it's like, nah. I mean, I'm not crapping on them for wanting to pay respects virtually, I guess.
Yeah.
It it's the thought that counts to some degree, but like you're playing in a video game where there are no rules. Like there are like it's not real life, Like you're trying to treat it like it is. You're trying to take real values and virtue that exist in polite society and put it into a game where the Horde and the Alliance are fighting
Yeah.
a war. Like, I don't know.
Now the other thing that was when I was looking into this that got brought to my attention was that this player who died will be remembered forever because of the funeral raid.
I mean, that's a
So,
fair point. Like,
then,
how many people know about her now? Like, comparatively,
oh,
you know?
way more than they'll be talking about that for a while.
Yeah, yeah. How much money might have been raised from that too? For
Yeah.
I don't know.
The other thing is
So,
that Serenity now the Raiders, I guess it became impossible for them to play the game. Like they were all bounties on all of them, corpse camped forever for months. Nobody could play the
really,
game.
I mean, that's also funny. Like to me, I mean, there. That's interesting that there were real life. Well, again, in-game
Yeah, you
consequences.
said it.
I did. I mean, real life, in so much as they weren't able to enjoy themselves playing the game anymore, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, you had real consequences for those actions. So,
Yeah.
well, it kind of maybe it all worked itself out.
Yeah, I did. I think that's one of those fascinating stories from gaming.
It
I mean,
definitely is. Yeah.
it's one way that gaming's really evolved. When I was a kid, it was. I remember it being a big deal that there was somebody who could beat Super Mario, the first one, in like
Right.
10 minutes,
Right.
and now it's a funeral raid. you know, like what's next? I don't even know.
Well, like the multiplayer nature of it really.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I didn't play EverQuest, but I mean, there's some stories of what was the guy's name, Lord British or something like that. One of the big celebrity players of that. It might have been one of the devs, I think, or the original designers. But there were legendary stories in that game. I mean, even Eve, right? Like all about the crazy like real money ships
Oh,
that like fleets that were destroyed
yeah.
due
Yeah.
to backstabbing and piracy and all that. Like it's nuts. It's kind of nuts.
Now I think the interesting thing about Eve is that they like promote it.
Sure.
Like scamming, fraud is legal,
Right.
and that
Yeah.
that puts an end to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you get scammed, it's your own fault. If you get raided in space or whatever,
Yeah.
hey, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
But in World of
Yeah.
Warcraft, the rules seem to be a little different. You know,
Yeah.
for whatever reason, people expect people to be nicer or respect them, or I don't even know.
I don't know why. I
Right?
mean, I had been corpse camped and melted by higher levels, and then I go get my higher level and I come out and do the same thing to them. Like I just return the favor. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. What do you want? What's it gonna be?
Let's go CrossFit.
CrossFit.
Get it over
Yes.
with. I'm wearing my CrossFit shirt right now.
Oh, you know why?
Because it's a cult.
Because it's a cult.
Okay. Um have at thee. Like what are your what's your big complaint? What's your gripe against CrossFit?
Oh man, where to begin?
Okay, hold on. Here's the first question. Have you ever been to a CrossFit class or done a CrossFit workout?
No.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Um, because I don't want to.
Okay.
It's like not the way I want to work out.
How do you know that?
Because it's insane.
Okay.
For one, it's just more cardio than I want to be a part of.
Okay.
I mean, that's the thing, right?
I mean there's a strength component and then there is it's definitely a mixture of strength and cardio.
Right.
I mean, yeah.
Okay, so I guess for one, I think it's unsustainable.
In what regard?
You're just out there crushing it like daily.
Yeah.
And I think somebody of my caliber at my age, or really anybody over the term, is just not going to be able to do that.
I mean, there's an entire CrossFit category called the Masters that's for like 40-plus-year-old guys. There are a lot of guys way older. I say way older. I'll be 40 next year, but a lot of guys older than me that are in way better shape. And I think that competition aspect, which I think you also don't like, um, is
I do like that.
okay.
That's
Yeah.
the only reason for CrossFit. If you're training to be in a CrossFit competition,
Okay. That
you're allowed to do CrossFit.
let's go after that argument.
Okay.
So, what exercises are you doing right now?
I do heavy lifting.
Like, give me like what are your three favorite
So
lifts?
today I did chest.
So bench press
So
and
incline, dips, flat
okay.
bench, cable cross.
And when are you entering your competition for these lifts that you love so much?
I'm not.
Well, why not? Like the whole point, the only point for it, if you're going to do it, the only point for it is to compete.
No, I just want to build muscle. That's my goal.
So you can do the exact same thing in CrossFit. You don't have to compete in CrossFit to build muscle and get stronger.
I just don't believe the type of workout that they're doing is for building muscle.
Why not? I mean, we do cycles where so there's different I okay. I need to take a step back. So there's different like CrossFit affiliates that you can opt into or be a part of. So the affiliate that we're a part of that I believe the technical term is a box, our CrossFit box is a part of our gym basically is Mayhem. CrossFit Mayhem. So CrossFit Mayhem is a actual gym, I believe, that I'm not sure where they're situated, but um, we follow all of their programming. So their team builds out the program, and anybody else who follows CrossFit Mayhem, which I know a couple other CrossFit gyms here in the area follow them too. So I know, hey, when I wake up today, I'm doing the same exercise that a bunch of other people are. But we do cycles, like where we'll do a deadlift cycle. So for 8 weeks, at least one of the exercises that week is a deadlift where you're building up your deadlift rep. Like you start out with, okay, give me your single PR, your 1 rep PR. And then the next week, okay, we're going to do, 3 at 70%. And then there's other exercises there too to help build other muscles that maybe aren't, I mean, they're definitely involved with the deadlift, but we're doing other things to kind of, I would say it's more of a whole body approach. Like you're strengthening other things. You're not just solely focused, I'm only going to deadlift, twice a week for the next 8 weeks. It's, yeah, we're gonna deadlift once a week, but we're gonna do other things too that help kind of build up your strength and your conditioning, your cardio along the way. So, I mean, I've definitely on those cycles improved my PRs for those lifts over an 8-week span. So,
well, sure.
Okay.
But you could do that without doing CrossFit too.
Well, okay. Okay. I mean,
or being part of a cult, or I really think you could do it better if you just threw out the like CrossFit style of deadlifting.
So I agree. I think yes, like power lifters,
Yeah,
right?
They're
Like
not doing CrossFit.
they don't, I mean, a lot of them don't do any cardio, right? Like they would I mean, they could throw me over a building, but they couldn't run 100 yards to tackle me if they needed to. Like I'm going to get tackled by a power lifter if any of them ever see this, or challenged to a foot race with a power lifter.
Right.
I can't run for whatever it's worth. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that if you just want to get yoked and the strongest you possibly can be in core lifts, you could cycle just those lifts for the next year and definitely probably make more progress. Is that you? And that's fine. So
it's sustainable. I just feel like CrossFit would just burn you out.
I totally disagree with you on that. And I'm going to flip that on you. Like, I think doing the same couple power lifts every week over and over and over for months on end would burn me out. Like, holy shit. Like, this is not interesting. Like, I do kind of like coming in. So I try not to look at the workouts ahead of time. They post typically 48 or 24 hours in advance. You can see what the workouts for the next day are going to be. Sometimes you see the whole week, but and I don't look a lot of times because I just want to I'm in it to get some exercise. Like, I do have goals of increasing some PRs, and I was on a pretty good trajectory last year or earlier this year, and then I totally fell off halfway through the year, and I'm kind of starting at square one again, which sucks, but I do have goals to improve a bunch of my lifts, but you know, I want to get my bench better, but I like some of the Olympic lifts that I never thought I'd like. You know, like cleans. I love cleans, like power cleans, squat cleans, um, snatch is okay. I'm getting more comfortable with it, but I don't know. It's a different approach. I get it's easy to shit on. I get it. Like it's the popular thing.
Well, the other thing
Everyone.
is my other point that I want to make, and also a reason that it's easy to shit on, is because it's dangerous.
What? Okay, I'll
Like you have
again.
people that are tired doing these kip pull-ups, however they do the pull-ups.
Yeah.
Like, first of all, why? Why?
I know what you're talking about,
Right.
and the biggest argument and complaint, and I see it from there's tons of powerlifter YouTubers out there who just make videos that just shit on CrossFit competitions because of their poor form, right? Like they're more focused on getting reps
Right.
than the form, which technically if you don't do the rep the correct way, you're supposed to get no rep. Like which means that rep didn't count. Like you didn't do a full squat, so you got to do it again. Like that doesn't count. So technically the judging should kind of take some of that, but yeah, I know like the kipping pull-ups is like a big thing, right? Like
Yeah.
in what world does that count? But listen, I don't know. I don't have a great argument against that. I'm not an exercise scientist. I would say my response to that would be like, you're still moving, you're using all of your leverage to achieve the same result. Yes, it doesn't show like pure upper body strength, or I guess back strength, as just doing a strict pull-up would do, but I don't know, if your life was on the line and you need to pull yourself up onto something, you would do everything you'd use all the leverage and momentum you could to get up there. I don't know.
Hopefully you have enough room to swing and
Yeah,
do. I don't even know how to do it, but
it's true. I don't either. Like I'm terrible at. I mean, I will say that it's not easy. Like they are inarguably easier pull-ups to do kipping or butterfly than a normal pull-up. But to that end, they're not easy in their own right. Like keeping your momentum going, like having your body, I can do like 3 of them.
I think it's more about
my body
the technique and the muscle memory than it is the strength.
Sure. Yeah. And getting your body in that rhythm and maintaining that rhythm, because as you're going, you're getting more tired and you start to slow down, and you don't put your feet far enough back and you're not kicking your feet far enough forward, so you get out of rhythm and then you're done. But
yeah,
again, like it's a great workout. That's what I'll say. It doesn't share the same end goals as maybe what powerlift, but yoga exists for a reason that a different reason than powerlifting exists, right? Like,
yeah.
There are yoga dudes that can probably lift more than I can just from stretching and holding body positions, for hours on end. I don't know.
So I guess the main point is, or the question I have about CrossFit, like, okay, what goals do you have that are being satisfied by CrossFit?
Getting an exercise, and I need the direction and guidance in someone yelling at me. Like that's part of what I pay for. I like the camaraderie. I like everyone in there kind of pushing each other. I've been very fortunate that a lot of the places I've gone have had like a really positive group of people who are all very welcoming and motivating each other. I would get so bored and probably quit within a month if it were solely on me to go to the gym with my I don't have that kind of discipline. I honestly I swear to God, this is why I
You like the
texted
cult
you.
aspect of it, is basically what you're saying. You
I
like
I
that
don't
cult
call it
family.
I don't call it a cult, but yeah, fine. I like the group portion. I played a lot of group sports growing up, so I kind of miss that. Like
Yeah.
having the team to play with. And I that's why I texted you, a month ago. Like I need an accountability buddy. And honestly, like a lot of my motivation does not come from me wanting to better myself. This is kind of messed up. It comes from not wanting to let other people down. Like, and that actually prevented me from going back to the gym for a while because I had fallen off so hard. I had gained a bunch of weight, um, and I was like, I'm embarrassed to show up at this place, like, and see these people again. They're gonna look at me like I got stung by a bee or something, and like just in case, like I mean, I was doing pull ups and lots of push ups and toes to bar, and now I can't do that stuff because I totally let myself go. So anyway, what I get out of it, like again, you said it, doing something's better than nothing.
Oh,
So I'll
yeah.
take that.
Yeah.
I don't really have any major goal of going crazy powerlifting, but I'm pretty certain that in a year I will be lifting way more than I've ever lifted in my entire life if I maintain my discipline and keep going. And then I can always do supplemental open gym work to focus on the powerlifting stuff
Yeah.
if I really want to. So the ball's kind of in my court, but I like the camaraderie. I like the group aspect of it. I like the cult
I
part of
like
it.
the CrossFit fail videos.
Uh, yeah. Well, I mean,
Hey, question though. Have you met the clown?
the clown. Is there a CrossFit clown?
Isn't it like if you puke, it's meeting the clown or some shit?
Oh, I don't know. I'm like I'm not in on all of the. I'm not fully drinking the Kool-Aid. Like I take a swig every now and then, but like I know people who know all the athletes, like the actual competitors,
Yeah.
like they do like football players. Like they could name off all the professional CrossFit athletes. They know when the competitions are coming around. Like they're celebrities, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm not that into it,
And
but
I do, when I get into watching CrossFit fail videos, every now and then they'll throw me an actual competition or a documentary about a specific CrossFit athlete, and it is interesting.
it
Like,
is. I mean, I would like for all of the for all the shitting on form and concerns about getting hurt. Okay, you can get just as hurt doing a squat the wrong way. Um, like it's not something unique to CrossFit. You know,
sure.
yes, you can argue that the incentive structure of reps over form can exacerbate that, I guess. Like if people
Yes.
are so dead set on I've got to do 50, overhead squats in this round, maybe their form starts to slip and that opens them up to hurting themselves, but so does saying I'm going to add 10 more pounds to my PR and then ripping, a hamstring. I mean, injuries happen in all of this stuff. It's not unique.
Yeah, but you're talking
And
about like driving a car is dangerous, but CrossFit is like driving a car drunk without a seatbelt. Like That's more. It's definitely more dangerous. You know.
I would say. I mean, I would say it's racing a car, right? Like, okay, I drive every
Probably a
day. I
better
drive this.
metaphor.
Yeah, I drive the speed limit, but I need to get there as fast as humanly possible. So I'm gonna brake. I'm gonna not pay attention to all the. I'm not gonna obey all the laws that maybe I should to get there quicker. And then that's where you do get hurt. And that, I mean, that to a degree that's on you. Like, if you should be doing the proper form to not hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're sacrificing form for an extra couple reps and it catches up to you, I don't know what to tell you. But ultimately, go look at the people at the top echelon of the sport
Oh yeah.
and tell me you wouldn't want to look like that. Like, I would love to be in that kind of shape.
You know what?
And I think,
You know what I'd love to be, that those people have that I don't. They're all like 23.
that's also true.
That's
also
the
true.
big difference. You know.
I mean, they do have older categories of competition, but yeah, like a lot of those people are like right out of college. They were probably a D1 athlete in some sport that it didn't work out, and they found this thing that scratches again a lot of those same itches, like
Oh yeah.
competition. It's team based. It's a way to test yourself. It's something new all the time. Like, one exercise might be, thrusters into bar muscle ups. Okay, well that's a completely different. I know I just said two things you don't know. Okay, it might be, you know what a burpee is, right?
Okay.
Okay, like burpee box jump overs and then
Right.
pull ups, right? So a burpee box jumper into pull ups might be one exercise. Well, that's a completely different, thing than maybe doing an assault bike into burpees, into burpee box jumper over. So like you get a completely different workout experience with just tweaking small things. Like you can it's kind of like Legos in some regard. Like you can kind of take this one exercise, swap it out, put in something different either before or after, and it's a completely different thing. And I like that freshness that offers. Like it's interesting.
Hmm.
I'm gonna convince you at some point.
I would like to go do a CrossFit workout.
Yeah, come down.
So
Come
I can
down.
shit on it more. No, I'm just kidding. But
I'll let you.
I really
You come
do-
down.
I'd like to do a Murph at some point.
Hey, if you want to do Murph, I will get you. We can do Murph together. That's an easy one to train for because you can do everything at home basically.
Yeah.
Like you can do air squats, you can do push-ups, and you can do pull-ups.
Yeah.
As long as I guess you got a pull-up bar or something.
I've got a buddy that did it last year, and I think you did it last year too.
I did. I didn't do full push-ups. Like I mean I had to scale down a lot of the reps and the work.
I'd like to get us all three together though and do one or.
I'd be
something.
down. Yeah. Let's make it happen. I mean, it's that aspect of it's fun. So, and that is the other part. I do like the memorializing like service members. I don't know if you're aware of that,
Yeah.
but a lot of those exercises are based off of.
Yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. I mean,
Yeah.
what's next, boss?
I don't know. I picked CrossFit.
You pick CrossFit? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man. Tell me about books and reading. Why'd you have that one on there?
I so this is one that I really regret not having a good reading ethic, like a good reading muscle, as a kid. Like you could not have, if it didn't have pictures in it, if it wasn't a comic book, you couldn't get me to read anything. Uh, and then I kind of fell into audiobooks, which helped like expose me to, you know, a bunch of things that I probably never would have experienced. But uh without sounding like super cliche, like books are amazing. Like it really is
Yeah.
an amazing concept if you stop and think about it. And the one that gets me, um, I started kind of going back and reading some of the Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius,
Are you talking?
and
Wait, how are you talking amazing? Like,
someone like hundreds to thousands of years ago had ideas
oh,
that they wrote down and were able to explain how they were thinking at that time. And again, hundreds to thousands of years later, like you get to consume those thoughts. Like you get to put yourself in, it's like time travel in some
yeah,
regards. Like,
yeah.
and I don't know, like I feel like it never really took hold of me whenever I was young. I still have a hard time. Like if I start reading, first of all, I the only time I have to do it is like at night for the most part. I'm making some excuses here. But like I'll start reading right before bed and then I'll just fall asleep. And, you know, it just puts me out. But like just that concept of being able to share your thinking and thoughts with a complete stranger X number of years from now, like uh, either forward or backward, and in some regards, like seeing, like, man, they were dealing with a lot of the same core things that we still deal with today. Like the human condition really hasn't changed that much in a lot of ways. Like the mechanisms and the specific problems have morphed a little bit, but the underlying like conflict is always the same.
So it's interesting you said that. So I took this picture, and
Yeah.
that top book there is East of Eden. It's one of my
Okay.
all-time favorite books.
Steinbeck, right?
Steinbeck, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's written in the 1800s, and it's basically about people being shitty people,
Yeah.
like, and really doing some same things that people are doing today. And I just
Yeah.
that's why that book is so fascinating to me, and I think it says a lot about people.
Yeah. 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 For sure.
But as
Yeah.
far as reading in general, I think the interesting thing about it is you capture the author's vision better than you
Hmm.
would. So you got a choice between book or movie. Movie, you're getting it on you. You know what I mean? There's no wiggle room.
Well, a movie is like a an author's vision through a completely different lens and reflection
Well, let's say it's
of
not even a movie based on a book, just a movie in general.
sure.
When you're reading a book, you're creating the vision of what's happening in your head, and
Sure.
it's
Yeah.
more about imagination. And I think there's something to that, as opposed to a movie, which there's no wiggle room. There's no what you're seeing is what is happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I lean.
How-
I've been back and forth. I've been in and out with books. I'm trying to get with it right now, but I used to work for the railroad, and all I would do is read books,
Yeah.
like for 10 hours a day. And
Yeah.
I got really into it that way.
Yeah.
And now that I don't do that anymore, because I quit my job to be a full time podcaster, of course. um,
Take it.
I'm only getting like an hour a day, and I try to squeeze in more, but it's impossible.
Well, I'm your wife. Like is a machine. I don't know. I don't
Oh,
even understand how she does it. Like when she told me yesterday or last year or was it this year she read 50 books.
yeah,
Like I haven't read 50 pages, let
right.
alone 50 books. Like
She'll be reading like three different books at the same time. I
yeah.
can't do that. I used to be able to
Yeah.
handle like a fiction book and a non-fiction book at the same time, but three different books, fiction. No.
Yeah, that's it's amazing. It's impressive, but yeah, I don't know. I'm thankful that both of my children seem to be um, more into reading than I was. Thank God their mother, like, I mean, every year, one of the things they get for a want, need, wear, read. Like, they get a book that they read. And they're jazzed about going to book fair and stuff. Um, I'm going to blame my parents who never gave me any book fair money. That's why I never developed a healthy appreciation for reading. No, my dad took me to comic book stores, so that was our thing.
See, I never got into comic book. Well, I did, but much later. Not when I was a
I got
kid.
it. I got into them like at the heyday in the '90s when they were going crazy and like all they're just doing all kinds of like the Death of Superman stuff and like the Spider-Man Maximum Carnage stuff and
Yeah.
um, it was a wild. I mean, some wild comics, but yeah, I really I wish I had a better reading muscle, and I know it's one of those things that you can train. I firmly believe that.
Yeah.
Like if I read more, I have my attention just rattles off whenever I'm reading because it makes me think of something else, and then I'll 3 or 4 pages later I'm thinking of something completely different. I've been reading the words, I've been parsing the pages,
Yeah.
but I'm not like absorbing the information.
I think that has a lot to do with the book itself too.
Yeah, they're definitely
Like there's some books that there's some author, George R. R. Martin. I've read all of the Game of
Game of
Thrones
Thrones.
as they're called.
Yeah, Song of Fire and Ice.
And man, that dude can lay down some prose.
Uh, he yes. I've read all of his books through Audible at 2x speed. Almost. I think I got up to almost 3x. Which is kind of crazy when you train yourself to listen to him that fast. But um, and there's so many characters
Yeah.
and like shit going on that doesn't always pay off. Like, and I love Brandon Sanderson too, but he does this too. Like,
Yeah.
where there's so much going on. It's hard to keep track. Like the character names are very esoteric. Like I can't like it's hard to ground them to anything because this name kind of sounds like this name. Are you talking about this person or that person? Like
Now, when I did the Wheel of Time, and I spaced that out quite a bit, like it took me like 10 years,
yeah,
maybe. Yeah, and I read books in between, but they have a really good wiki on the internet, and I was
yeah,
constantly referring to that, and it had like non-spoiler chapter reviews
okay,
where you could read the chapter, and then if you had a question about it, it would tell you the characters that were in that chapter and what they've been doing before that.
yeah,
That helped me out a lot. But yeah, some of those like I think those are some of the most interesting novels to read. Those epic arcs, that are
the fantasy epics,
yeah,
yeah,
7, 8, 9 books. I think those are some of the best books I've ever read.
Yeah,
But yeah, they're tough.
yeah, yeah. There's the. It's hard to suggest some of the like the first couple Sanderson books. I'm like, yeah, you absolutely got to read them.
Yeah, I'm sure I'll revisit it in the future. But what's this? Stormlight Archives? Is that the main
Yes,
series?
that's the one, the main one he's kind of working on now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm two behind now, and I just can't nudge myself in the direction to do that, to pick it
I
back up.
haven't even started book 4, and I feel like maybe book 6 is coming out. I don't know.
Yeah.
He writes them so fast.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
it's impressive.
He's writing like two or three series at a time, and still
Right. That's
putting
the other
out.
thing. It's like, he's
And
all over
I
them.
think we've talked about this before. Like George R. R. Martin takes forever to write a book.
Yeah.
Brando
Yeah.
Sando is banging them out almost too quick. You know, if you could combine the two,
You got the perfect writer.
like Brando's books almost feel rushed. You can feel it as you're reading it. You're like, man, if he just would have put a little more thought into this, fleshed it out some more instead of just blah 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 blah.
Yeah. I, I anymore I am a a fan of uh being concise. Like, can you deliver the same high level arc without introducing 28 different characters that I'll never remember? I think, is it Joe Abercrombie has a series that I really loved because it was very direct and straightforward. Now he has a greater world that kind of touches some of his other books, I think, but um, his series was really great and
What
to
was
the
that?
point.
I think you've told me about it before.
Well, I've mentioned James Islington, um, and he does A Shadow of What Was Lost, I think. Um, the Lycanius trilogy. It's great. I really like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Joe Abercrombie. God, I'm trying to remember the first book of his. Um, what is it now? I have to look this up. Yeah, Joe Abercrombie books. The First Law trilogy. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. I've got that one on my list.
Yeah, it's got great characters, memorable characters, some very basic arcs, and it doesn't add so many people that it's impossible to keep track of, in my opinion. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's good stuff. But yeah, like reading, like in general, I don't know. It's super interesting to me now. I'm in the mid years of my life, I guess. So, God willing, and I'm excited that my kids are taking a liking to it, and I
Yeah.
hope they continue to. How about your kids? They read pretty well too.
Uh. Yeah. You know, the one is 2 years old.
Sure. Yeah.
The other one's five.
Right. Oh my God.
um, I'll say something more about reading though. For whatever reason it is I always go back and reread books that are really good. You know, it seems like I find other things or I see connections I didn't before, but I always do that in the winter. It
Interesting.
seems like a winter thing to do is reread books, and I'm gonna reread East of Eden for the I think the third or fourth time. I think the fourth time, and
Here,
Neuromancer.
so this sounds so weird, but I'm gonna say it anyway. rereading a book seems pointless, but I have rewatched movies so many times.
Yeah.
I don't know why I look at that so drastically differently, because I feel like maybe reading a book is such a heavier lift and time commitment that I don't know that I'd ever want to go back through reading again once I've been through it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I
There's
should
got to be
try
a
it.
time period. Like East of Eden, I reread about every 10 years.
Yeah.
Um, but a movie, I'll throw on, you know, day to day.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely.
But yeah, it's definitely the time commitment. You know what I mean? Like,
True.
okay, now what?
Um, I picked up books and reading.
Did you?
Did I? Maybe
No,
not.
I picked it and said you put it on there. So you got to pick now.
Uh, God.
Do 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 do.
We didn't we talk about Marvel, or does it not count because it got
It wasn't recorded. That was when we talked about in the discussion of what we were going to talk about, and we got like carried away talking about it, but we didn't actually talk about it on
okay?
camera.
Sure, we can talk about
Does
Marvel.
that make sense? I'd have to
Speaking of
draw
writing and bad writing,
Marvel.
ugh,
Ugh.
God, how the mighty have fallen.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? Ugh.
Um, I I think the Infinity Saga is one of the greatest cinematic achievements that's ever been done. Like ever been pulled off. Just from a planning, an execution, a consistency standpoint, like they did a great job of building that world, introducing some wild shit that like on paper you're like, okay, we went from it being a stretch for a billionaire to build his own armor suit and become a superhero to introducing like a god, a Norse god, to a talking raccoon, like without blinking an eye. Like
Yeah.
they pulled that off. Um,
Yeah. I like your positive start on this because there's a lot to shit on, and I'm glad
yeah,
we're pointing
well,
out.
lately there has been for
I'm glad we're
sure.
pointing out the good. We're going with the good things.
Well,
But yeah, there was
yeah,
some really good. I mean, and I really wonder how much they had in mind at the time. You know, did Iron Man take off? And then they're like, you know, sell the house.
I don't think that they, I don't think they really, um, put all of their chips on the table until the Avengers came out. I think
Yeah.
once the Avengers came out, they were like, "Oh shit, this worked!" Like,
Yeah.
we, it worked, and it worked. It was one of the best movies. Like, and the entire time I was so terrified because I loved Iron Man.
Hmm.
Captain America was fine. There wasn't anything bad about it.
I I would put that right up there with Iron Man.
I love the character, and I love the first half of Captain America. The second half is kind of meh to me.
See,
It's fine.
it's the other way for me.
Oh, I love the origin. I like
Yeah, but
because that's where
you know
you
he's
see
gonna
his
be
character.
Captain America. You know he's going there. So I don't
Yeah,
need
but
to.
I eat up the hokey kind of him as a weak little dude who dives on the grenade like that. that kind of chokes me up at times. I'm like, man, that guy should be Captain America. Like,
Yeah.
I love that part of it. The whole, I just don't think Red Skull's that interesting of a villain.
Yeah.
And he's just not to me. It's like, okay, Hitler, okay, cool, I get it. I mean, red-faced Hitler, okay, whatever.
Yep.
Um, I liked Thor. That was another one that was like, it was fine. There wasn't anything wrong with it. It's a very, it's a tale as old as time, kind of like asshole prince who gets his comeuppance and kind of sees the error of his ways and, you know, comes back. The redemption kind of story from a character standpoint.
Yeah.
Um.
Who is now ruined.
Yeah. Yeah.
They did Thor dirty, and
I want to talk.
One of the first things that went south that I was like, why?
They did do him dirty, and I kind of was on board with part of it, and then when I kind of saw what was happening later, I was like, oh, this is unfortunate. But God, what the Incredible Hulk, which is not really, I guess, part of it technically. The Edward Norton Hulk is a great movie. I like that movie.
Yeah,
a lot.
Yeah,
it's a good one. But the fact that when Avengers came around finally, because I think there were a couple part 2s in there as well.
Yeah, I know Iron Man 2 came before.
Yeah, there was Iron Man 2 before Avengers, I'm pretty certain. God, maybe I should pull up the timeline, but I was so terrified. I was like, man, they made some good movies, but I don't know how they're gonna pull this mega, like, bring all these people together in some way that makes sense and isn't like boring and drag on and hits all the story points. And they nailed it. They did such a good job.
And has that ever been done before? I mean,
I can't really think of a situation that stuck the landing as well as they did. The Harry Potter series does a lot of good things.
That's a different thing, though.
For sure, absolutely.
Different movies together.
Yes,
it's one thing to make a part 1, part 2, part 3, but to tie in different movies with different characters with different actors, and that's the other thing, getting all the stars of movies to be in a movie
and give them all a respectable due. Like, they all kind of have their good points, like, throughout the entire movie. They just did a really good job. The second phase, like, Captain America 2 was pretty, it was okay. Again, like, there was never any, I think that's what I can say most in their favor is DC made a bunch of really, I think, inarguably bad movies. Oh. Whereas, like, the Marvel stuff was always like, this is pretty good. Like, it's not always Shakespeare, but it's pretty good throughout. Ultron was, that was all right. But man, Infinity War, holy shit. Like, getting to Thanos, great villain,
who had been hinted about, back in Avengers is when they first hinted at him.
Yeah, I mean,
was it the after credit scene in Avengers?
I think so. Yeah, because the Cube was like, he was doing Loki's bidding, or Loki was doing his bidding in the first Avengers movie. So, they did him so good. I think Civil War was one of my favorite ones.
See, that's I had some problems with the plot of that.
Okay.
You know, the whole thing, well, I wouldn't say the whole thing, but a lot of it was about the Scarlet Witch pulls that building down on top of people, right?
Hmm.
And they're mad about it.
Hmm.
Well, there was like a terrorist, you know. It's not like she did that on accident. It's that there was a fight happening with like jacked up dudes.
Yeah.
You know, you got to assume some collateral damage, and they kind of, that was the plot point that they needed to sign these accords because they were so dangerous. And that was, I was kind of like, but at least in that movie you had somebody to side with. Either you sided with Iron Man or you sided with Captain America. You know.
That was my favorite part of it was it really made you think. Like you really had to stop and go, who is right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I see where Tony's coming from. Like we can't we shouldn't just be allowed to do whatever we want. But
But
at the same time, like I fully I mean I'm team Rogers in this one. Like you have been given this responsibility. It's on you. You take ownership of your actions, but do do what you think is right. Like I don't know. I mean, it's a slippery slope too, I guess, but
I feel like if they were arguing for opposite sides, it would have made more sense.
you think Steve should have been the pro government?
Yeah. That's
No,
what
that's
he
not,
is.
no. He's not pro government.
He's the army man. Go
No,
America.
he's
And Tony
anti.
Stark is the opposite.
Uh,
He's the anti-government guy.
well, in some regards, yes. Like, yeah. I mean, he won't give over his technology to the government. He wants to be in control of it. I can see what you're saying, but Steve is definitely he's not like go government. He's go righteousness, I guess, is maybe a better way to like
Well, that's what he's doing. But I think that goes against his character.
no, I mean I think it's very in line with his character. He saw like the whole part of him wanting to go fight Hitler and go fight in the army was there's someone over there doing something that they shouldn't be doing and someone needs to stand up to him. And then you turn around and it's like, "Hey, we're standing up for what we think is right." And now the government's trying to come in and tell us we can't do this anymore. You have to play by our rules. Well, no, we won't like
Yeah.
there's a great um there's a great Captain America scene in one of the comic books, and they kind of hint at it um in yeah, Civil War. When they're giving when his first love dies and he goes to the funeral, her niece, I think, is giving a eulogy and talks about you like planting yourself as a tree alongside the river of truth and saying, no, you move. You don't tell me to move. You move around me. Like, I don't know. I always like that line. Um, yeah. Anyway,
But
Civil War.
we got to move this along, or we
Yeah, I know.
we could spend 3 hours talking about. But
Okay, it's all good.
where
and
does
then
it all
takes
fall apart?
Dude, okay. Here I watched Loki, the TV show. First of all, TV shows were meh, like at best.
Hold on, I'll push back on that one. I can't even think of the name of it now. What was the like
Yeah.
long running TV show that was pretty much between every movie?
Oh, the one that was on
Uh,
ABC.
Agents of Shield.
Never. I didn't watch that.
That had its moments.
I watched the first like episode and it was so hokey with bad CG. I was like, no thanks.
That that was kind of the thing though.
I'm more talking about the Disney,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. So then they switched
Disney
gears.
Plus TV shows. So you took this entire 20 plus movie arc and based it around this bad guy. And then, okay, now we've got to introduce the new bad guy. So, the law of power creep says we've got to make him more intimidating. He has to be more powerful than Thanos. Otherwise, what kind of a threat is he if he's just as powerful? So, what do? Oh, look at these Infinity Stones at the time department. Like they're just paperweights here because we all like for reasons time is more powerful than everything. It's like, well, there's a time stone. Like I don't know how that plays into all this, but
Well, I'll stop you there.
okay.
So I think the problem was before that.
Oh, well, I mean,
Once
okay.
they opened up the multiverse,
Oh.
like,
Uh
what do you do? Once
well,
time and which I always have a debate with myself about whether they had to or not, because that's how they're going to bring in another Iron Man or another Thor or another other characters.
when you say did they have to from a narrative perspective? No, they didn't. But from a studio making money and having all of the control as to what actors play what characters, that's the greatest MacGuffin in the entire world. Like, oh, Robert Downey Jr. wants more money than we're willing to give him. Guess what? We're gonna have
Right?
a different universe Iron Man that's played by Tom Cruise,
Yeah.
and we'll pay him, or some other up and coming actor no one's heard of.
And
Like,
I don't mind that. It's not really about that, but it introduces all kinds of paradoxes and dumb things.
yeah,
And that was the biggest problem with Loki for me.
it's hard to follow.
It's they're trying to establish rules where there are no rules.
Well, I mean, they commonly make up the rules as they go. Like, I mean, they're kind of only banking on short memory spans. Like,
Yeah, oh yeah.
I mean, yes, if you go back and watch some of the stuff in chronological order, be like, oh, this doesn't make any sense later on. But, really, I think they're banking on most people have a 2 to 3 movie memory. On
Even the end of Infinity War Part 2, I was kind of like,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
I mean, they lay out the rules, they tell you the rules, which aren't really the rules.
Well, so I will say I did appreciate that aspect of what they tried when they're explaining how time travel works, and they're basically explaining how we all believe time travel works based on our collective viewing of Back to the Future, and they directly point that out. Is like, are you judging your like and
Yeah.
and in that scene they supplant their own version of how time travel actually works, and it kind of makes sense. It's like it doesn't tie up all the loose ends, but it's like you could use this moving forward and get in
Well,
line with it.
and then they set all that they spend all that time setting up the rules, right?
Right.
And then they break them.
Yeah.
Steve Rogers took the long way.
Yeah.
That's not how that works.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, are you telling me he was there the whole time?
Right. Yeah.
You know,
He could have stepped in at any point.
yeah,
Yeah.
he laid low.
Yeah.
Like, ooh,
I don't know. It's yeah. No, Loki definitely is confusing.
so
And yeah.
Loki doubles down on that. Now we've got this multiversal problem that we need to have an agency that controls the
Yeah.
timelines and the
Yeah.
multiverses, and now we're getting out there.
Yeah. It's nuts. It's hard to keep track of. Um
but generally speaking, I kind of like that.
well,
I
that's what
kind of like the
comics
Loki
are.
show.
Oh, the Loki show. I
Yeah,
didn't first season I did not care for, and I've
yeah,
not gone back to watch the second season. So
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know
But
if it
then
is
what was after that?
after Loki.
Yeah,
Um, in terms of shows, was it Falcon and the Winter Soldier right after that,
yeah. So I hated that.
and then the Hawkeye Christmas run. Like
I didn't watch that. I was like,
I didn't
nope.
watch it either.
That's where I
She-Hulk.
started checking out.
Yeah.
I heard
She-Hulk.
terrible things about She-Hulk. And then Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Not terrible, but it had the same multiverse problems.
I just don't like what they did to Scarlet Witch either.
There, that too.
Yeah. I mean, WandaVision was interesting-ish, but
Yeah,
I don't know. Uh,
it was an interesting
hard.
concept, but what was the point?
I don't know. I mean, they really just make her bad. They introduce a new character.
It was like around that time period they were treading water with this multiverse thing, not really sure what to do,
Yeah.
and they were like trying different things, and it wasn't all tied together like everything else was. They
No.
started like winging it.
Yeah. Yeah. It.
And then the last Thor movie, Love and Thunder, I
Yeah.
turned it off.
Yeah.
They got to where they brought back what's her name,
Natalie Portman.
and she had the hammer, and I was like, nope, nope, no.
Yeah. I mean, that is it. That is a comic. Like she does become Thor.
Lots of people do.
Sure, a frog. Beta Ray Bill. Yeah, it's true. It's not, and that's. I mean, I feel at times I'm like, am I taking this too seriously? Because comic timelines are freaking insane anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're all over. I mean, there's all kinds of different runs and interconnecting plots, and then they nuke like they retcon stuff, and this did happen and it didn't happen, but this happened over here in the ultimate universe, and
Well, that's what I'm saying. The multiverse becomes almost necessary to have these big giant things that happen. You know, the power creep. You have to reset it every now and then, or you have to restart. And I think
if you want to keep the train going.
I think it could be good, but I think the Marvel Cinematic Universe fumbled it hard.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem like a solvable goal though.
No.
Like, I mean, if it's daunting to even consider, and if anyone's done it remotely close. It's been them in terms of being halfway decent, but um, yeah. Did you watch the Flash movie
Yeah,
that kind of does the multiverse thing too?
yeah.
Was it good?
I didn't mind it, but it just it kind of went nowhere. So the Flash, there were things that were distracting for it about me. First, the whole Ezra Miller thing. That dude is garbage, you know.
What a
And I can't
what
believe they
a
didn't recast him and just start over. Like, you
yeah.
know, everything. There were news stories coming out about him while that movie was being filmed and coming out, and it almost got to be more about him. I watched
Yeah.
it to see what this trash can actor was going to do in this movie. Like,
You mentioned the Jim Carrey thing, like being annoying. Like that for me, Ezra Miller, I can't watch anything with him in it now because I'm
yeah,
just like, why did we allow this to happen?
yeah, I've seen people get blacklisted from Hollywood for way, well, worse things, but also less things.
Yeah, but I mean, they also hadn't had made a multi-million-dollar budget movie
Yeah,
that they would have had to have just eaten all of that.
yeah.
I mean, they needed to recoup something.
And the other thing was, I feel like DC is just trying to follow in the footsteps of Marvel. Being like, see the thing they did? Let's just do that.
Yeah, yeah. I've had that conversation with friends too, where um, they tried to fast track
Yeah,
everything. Like they tried to fast track their Avengers with Justice League. Like that was like the fourth movie that they made
right.
almost, and maybe a fifth. But they try to have all these emotional points that they didn't earn with
Right.
me. Like, you can't you can't make me feel something about this in this moment that you're truly trying to make me feel something because you're playing all the right music and you're slowing everything down and you're showing the facial, reactions, but I just don't care because you haven't brought me along like to that point, like when
But
in
then
Galaxy. Go ahead.
the real dagger in my back for DC, this Flash movie,
Yeah.
was trying to cash in on that nostalgia bait.
Oh, yeah, they
Bringing back Batman.
Michael Keaton. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that
Yeah.
hurts.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some people loved it, but it just
It's
felt.
the member berries thing, man. And I
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I South Park really ruined that. The both member berries and the whole pandering thing. Like
Yeah. That's a whole
I used to
other.
I used to be that person too. Like if they showed a whiff of a character
Oh, yeah.
that I loved, I would be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they're doing this. They're gonna show this guy." And
Well, it
but they
used to
don't-
be interesting, but now it's to a level that's overkill.
it used to be interesting. They used to do. It used to have some substance, I think, behind it,
Yeah.
right? Where now it's just like, "Hey, look, it's Michael Keaton. Everyone clap." Like.
But I think the one to actually murder it to death, the first one I really thought, okay, I really don't like this, was the Spider-Man movie that brought back all three Spider-Mans. I was like, no. Like,
that one I did appreciate.
they like all sat around and had their like hug each other moment, and I was like, this doesn't have anything to do with the movie. This is for a different thing. You know what I mean? This does not advance the plot of the movie. Them having this, oh, it's tough being Spider-Man. I know that because I'm Spider-Man. I'm Spider-Man too.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that one. I'll
And
say.
that one there. So there's a great example of the same movie that one does it right, and one does it terrible, and that's the animated Spider. What's it called?
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Into the Spider Verse did it perfect.
They do it pretty good, yeah.
Spider-Man: Homecoming ruined it.
I liked parts of that one. I think it definitely got by with a lot of shit that maybe it shouldn't have on a second viewing. But when Andrew Garfield saves Mary Jane, like, and gets his redemption because he didn't save Gwen Stacy in his universe, like, that got me a little bit.
How many people has he saved?
A bunch, but that was the whole thing. Is like,
Mary Jane in this universe means nothing to him. It's not his Mary Jane. He doesn't even know there wasn't a Mary Jane in his neck of the woods.
sure, but the fact that he made good, like, on trying to save somebody, like, you know,
And here's
he saved that Peter's Mary Jane, I guess. I don't know.
In Homecoming, is that what it is? Homecoming? No.
There's Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home.
No Way Home.
Yeah.
That's not even the worst thing about No Way Home. The worst thing about No Way Home is, what was Jamie Foxx doing? It's like he showed up and they were like, hey, we need you to play that character that you played in Amazing Spider-Man. And he's like, no, fuck that. I'm being Jamie Foxx. He didn't do a voice or anything.
Yeah, he didn't play he played the super cool guy, like,
yeah,
not the nerdy Electro guy.
Is it supposed to be a different guy? Like a different version of him from a different multiverse? Or is it supposed to be the original guy? Because it's not.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be Andrew Garfield's Electro.
And that infuriated me. Like, I was like, who let him get away with that?
They changed that one pretty drastically.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah, I don't know. All I can say is I don't care. I don't even know what the latest Marvel movie coming out is. I don't know what the slate looks like. I know that they're dealing with the actor who they hired as Kang is, like, going through legal trouble, so now they're, like, talking about scrapping, like, the whole maybe scrapping the whole Kang, like, as the next big bad guy, which...
So I watched Loki season 2.
Yeah.
Which I wish I wouldn't have, but what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
But it was one of those, I kind of enjoyed Loki season 1. So I was like, and there's things I haven't watched now. And I was like, I'll give it another chance to see where they're going. Because that show seems to define the direction somewhat, you know.
Sure.
And they kind of left the door open to maybe he's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, but, I don't care. I'm not going to see it, but...
Yeah, if you follow the things, yeah, there's... they may be ditching him.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt.
But at this point, how many movies and series is he featured in?
Well, I mean, Loki, introduced him.
Yep.
And then Ant-Man had him,
which he was a big part of.
Right. I don't know if the Marvels touch on him at all.
Not watching that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another one of those like the actor is hard to get around. I don't know. Have you seen other things that Brie Larson was in prior to being Captain Marvel?
She was in Community for a bit.
Was she in Community?
Yeah,
Okay.
she was
There was a
Abed's girlfriend.
okay, interesting. Um, there was a show. I think it was called The United States of Terra. Um, and it was on I want to say HBO or Cinemax or something, maybe Showtime. And it was a story about this suburban mom who has multiple personality disorder, and like Brie Larson was her daughter, and I loved it, and I loved her in it. Like I was like really excited when they cast her. I was like,
Was it a
okay,
movie?
no, it was a TV show.
Hmm.
It was a series. They had like 2 or 3 seasons, maybe. Amanda and I watched it. It was great. I enjoyed it. And I liked her in that a lot. Um, I liked her in Kong Skull Island. I thought that she was great in that.
Oh yeah.
Um, she has a little part in it, uh, but they wrote her so unlikable. Like in the Marvel movie, I felt like she's just like I don't know. I it was one of those
You talking the
movies.
original
Yeah,
Captain
Captain
Marvel?
Marvel. Yeah. Um, when they first announced her, I was like, I had a hard time seeing her in that role, which I do get. I get excited about that at sometimes because I'm like, okay, I don't know how they're gonna pull this off, but I'm excited to see them do it. And I'm trying to think of a good, you know, analog to that where it was something that I didn't think I was very curious how it would work, and it was with an actor I didn't think would do a very good job, and they did. Maybe Robert Pattinson as Batman in the most recent Batman movie
Yeah.
was another one of those that I was like, I don't know about this, but I think he did a decent job playing Batman.
Yeah.
Um, but it never clicked for me with her. I don't know. I don't know. Like it's just when she was in it.
I like that movie.
Which one
The original Captain Marvel.
did you?
Yeah. I thought
I
they didn't really dick around with the origin story. They jumped right into it. It had
Yeah.
nods to, you know, the agents of Shield. It had a
Yeah.
one eye in it. Um,
Yeah.
it kind of introduced you to the what Skull Cree thing, Scroll,
Scrolls. Yeah.
uh, but not really too in depth about it. And the plot I thought was really original.
It did catch me off guard because I
Yeah,
like the twist of like the scrolls aren't the bad guys was
yeah.
kind of interesting. Um, but
And they had like tricked her into it. I like
right.
that.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't. I do. I kind of judge it by the fact that I don't really remember a lot of what happened, other than
And an
her.
interesting thing about it was, so if you were kind of paying attention, you knew that the Kree were the bad guys, and it got me so hard that I went into it think when they first introduced the Kree, I was like, aren't they the bad guys? Like I second guessed myself because the dupe was so hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 I don't know. The mighty have fallen, though. Mm,
I wonder a couple things. I wonder how hard they're going because I think they're gonna try and recover with like the Fantastic Four and
Oh,
that John Krasinski little tidbit we got. I wonder how hard they're going for him.
he won't be it.
Yeah,
I think I could be wrong. Um, I think the last rumors I had seen were maybe Pedro Pascal.
no,
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong on that. Um,
that would make sense.
they and
He's like their guy now.
the kid from Dune, uh, Timothy Chalamet or whatever.
That'd be interesting. But they almost have to redo, you know, if Phase One started with Iron Man, the new thing they're doing, if they want me back as a viewer of their movies and TV shows.
Pedro Pascal to play. Pedro Pascal is the front runner to play Mr. Fantastic in the
No.
new Fantastic Four movie. I guess it doesn't mean that he'll definitely do it, but
Kind of getting tired of him.
oh god. Uh yeah. Did you see the Madam Web trailer?
No. I don't even know what that is. Is that a Marvel
So,
thing?
huh?
Is it a Marvel thing?
It's that tangential Sony universe that where Venom and Craven and what was the
Morbius?
other terrible one? Morbius. Where that exists is just go watch it. It looks so bad.
Ugh.
Um,
It sucks not
yeah,
having things to be like excited for.
yeah, that was a thing, man. Like, dude, I remember like when all those trailers would come out, I would just binge watch them
Yeah.
over and over and over, like once a day. I just
I remember when they announced Avengers and I was like, that doesn't come out for a year?
I know, yeah.
Like, I don't I don't know if I can wait. You know,
Oh,
I was into it.
dude, the hard cutoff from Endgame, from Infinity War to Endgame, like what? They just
Yeah.
snapped away half the people, and I have to sit here for
Yeah.
a year while I wait to see what
See
happens.
the
Like,
stunning conclusion.
yeah, yeah, that was insane. But yeah, I'm not excited anymore. I don't know what it is. Like,
Yeah, and I'm glad that it happened. It was a cool thing. It is. I really think it's got some long lasting. Like, cause that's the bar now. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that kind of planning and cohesiveness is going to be expected in series movies now.
I I will say though, I hope no one tries to do it. Like, I'm with you. I'm glad that it happened, but here's what happens to all of these things that try to overstay their welcome. Nothing lives forever, and we can't treat it like it does. Like, shows,
Star Wars.
yes. I mean, yes. Like, you can't recapture the same magic once. Like, a second time
Yes.
rather. You caught lightning in a bottle. Like, just just love the original Star Wars movies. Like, for what they were. Like, they had their run. That's the finality to it. Done. That story's been told. I mean, I don't necessarily mind some of the extended universe stuff and playing around in that space, like doing other things, but I didn't need The Force Awakens, the last three movies at all. Like, if you want to go back and do the prequels and show me Darth Vader becoming Darth Vader, okay. I don't necessarily feel that I needed that either, but I'll take that over what they gave me with the last three.
Well, I think that's the Star Wars universe is so big, and I think other shows showed that. You know, I
It
think one of
is
the best Star Wars things. Did you watch? What's that? What's the show?
Ahsoka,
No, before that.
Mandalorian, Boba Fett,
After that.
Obi-Wan,
Nope.
uh, the one oh Andor.
Andor. Yes. You know that had nothing to do with the main universe. Did you watch it?
Uh, about the first half of it.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's a little slow moving, but it's an original story. It doesn't have anything to do with any of the other shit. You know.
yeah.
I think that's a lot of what happened to Star Wars is that they thought they had to keep telling the story they did.
Well, the Skywalker saga didn't need to go any further than it did.
Right.
I mean, well, there's a part of me that wishes it would have gone further. I would have loved to have seen Luke grow into a wise old master and not some crotchety,
Yeah.
bitter asshole. Listen, we need to cut this off. We need to do
Yeah,
Star
we
Wars
do.
next because
Yeah.
we could talk about this is a whole other thread.
Keep in mind the topic was Marvel. Look where we ended up in DC and
Yeah,
Star Wars. Ugh. We got to
Yeah.
be more disciplined.
It's true, but yeah, I
Anything you
I
want to
don't.
close with?
No, I appreciate things that have a finality. I will say that. Like two of my favorite shows of all time, Dexter and Breaking Bad. And one of those ended right when it should have and didn't try and really milk much. And the other one just tried to keep the show going and it became a victim of its own success. I don't know.
All right.
Yeah.
So end things when you should.
Yes. Well, yeah. Like,
That's Words
Yeah.
About Things episode 1. Thank you, viewer.
yes.
Like and subscribe.
Thanks,
Are we-
Mom.
Are we supposed to tell people that? Like and subscribe. I'm sure it does something. I don't think it does,
Maybe.
but I
We'll
think it
see.
does.
Yeah. All right.
Bye.
Catch you guys next time.